Persona 3 Reload has been out for over 3 months at this point, so it's officially time for Atlus to go full throttle on the marketing for their next big RPG, Metaphor ReFantazio. For those of you out of the loop, Metaphor is the first full game developed by Atlus's Studio Zero, a supergroup of devs from across the Persona series. The director of Metaphor was also the director on Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne and Persona 3 through 5, and hearing that was honestly enough to get me excited about this game. Not only are some Atlus heavy hitters working on this game, but they've also gone out and collaborated with some other really talented people in the industry. The cities of the game were designed alongside Koda Kazuma, who most notably worked on Nier Automata, and some of the vehicles in the game, including the main one the player uses, were designed by Ikoto Yamashita of Evangelion fame. Look, I did my best with the names, okay? As a big fan of the Persona games and just Atlus RPGs in general, I am really excited about this game. In fact, it's probably the game I'm most looking forward to playing this year. A few days ago, or several days ago, or weeks ago, depending on how long this takes to edit, Atlus held a live stream that gave us our first in-depth look at the gameplay, story, and world of Metaphor. And in this video, I really just want to talk about some of the elements they revealed that I think are really neat. First, let's hit on the story and some of the mechanics built around it. Metaphor's story follows a player named Protagonist, just like basically every other Atlus game, as they travel the United Kingdom of I don't know how to say that word. A brand new, never before seen fictional fantasy world. Using this kind of setting is a pretty stark difference from the more contemporary settings of the Persona games. After the assassination of the king, a special magic election begins. An election that anyone can win if they earn enough of the people's favor. You, as the protagonist, must journey throughout the kingdom to earn as much of said favor as you can. During the livestream, Metaphor was described as a culmination of everything the devs have learned from their time working on past SMT games and the Persona series, and while that might not be the most evident in the setting of the game, it is definitely evident in much of the gameplay. Like the Persona series, there will be a time management system that will force players to choose how best they think their time should be spent, whether it be working towards completing the main story, or side content, or spending time in the dungeons, of which there are more of than any of their previous games. Apparently. The game will take you all across the kingdom, and while not specifically an open world game, it will feature its fair share of exploration. As you make your way through the story, the main hub area will change based on what city you're in at that point in the game. From what they have shown of the various cities so far, it'll be interesting to explore the various nooks and crannies for all kinds of side quests and secrets and the like. Plus, they are gorgeous looking. You will also have access to a main base in the form of the Gauntlet Runner, a big chicken looking thing you will use to move through the world of the game. From there, you can use the war room to make your way to any nearby dungeons. Once selected, you will actually spend some time traveling to your destination instead of instantly teleporting there. This time can be used to do things such as cooking meals or hanging out with the various companions you'll recruit. If you're impatient like me, you can sleep to cut straight to your destination, so this free time is not forced on you. Something I thought was really cool was the fact that you could go on top of the runner and watch it traverse through the world, seemingly in real time, as they noted that you could see monsters flying overhead. The scale of this game seems so much bigger than anything Atlus has done before, and I am excited to see how far they take it. The Persona games are very restricted by being set in Japan, whether in fictional towns like Inaba or real-world locales like Tokyo. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what they do with absolute freedom in terms of world design. They also describe the world of the game as a mirror to the modern real world, and I wonder exactly what that will entail and how it will affect the overall story. I think the concept of our world somehow being their version of a fantasy world has a lot of potential to take the world building of this game in some wild directions. As long as it's not revealed that the kingdom is actually some post-apocalyptic version of Earth way in the future or something, I'd hate that. That would feel like a cop-out. Anyway, another similarity to Persona games is the relationship mechanic built into the narrative that allows you to form close bonds with your teammates. Apparently, these teammates won't be romanceable in the same way as Persona's social links. That's not to say there won't be any kind of romance, just that it doesn't coincide with the relationship mechanic. This could definitely end up being for the best, as the romantic relationships in the Persona games end up being incredibly surface level due to being constricted to the character's social link or special scripted events. Building up your bonds with these characters serves to benefit you in combat too, by unlocking new archetypes which you can equip your party members with to use in the turn-based combat. Admittedly, at first glance they share a lot of similarities with Personas, but some distinctive changes can already be noted. For example, archetypes will be all brand new designs not based on previous Personas or demons. They have different versatility too, as they are not constricted to one character. You can equip any archetype with any character. Hell, you can even equip the same archetype for your entire team. This amount of freedom should lead to quite a bit of customization when it comes to building your party's loadout, something that seemed to be important to the devs. On top of all that, there's also the added element of real-time combat along with the turn-based. You can attack enemies in the overworld to damage them and give yourself an advantage, or even eliminate them without even entering a turn-based battle if they are weak enough. One of the reasons this was implemented was to speed up the overall gameplay in these sections and not force you into turn-based battles constantly, which is something I am 100% on board with. Look, I love the turn-based combat in these games, but grinding against weaker enemies just becomes tedious at some point, so I'm hoping this mechanic will help avoid that issue entirely. Plus, the dungeons look pretty sweet, and that's pretty cool. Alright, here's a couple of quick points I wanted to touch on real quick before I close out this video, and one of them is the fact that the music of the game will be diegetic. The protag's little fairy friend actually casts a spell on him that plays the music directly in his head, which is kind of weird, but in a good way. It's an interesting choice to make, and I wonder if it will have bigger implications later in the game. It also means at some point the protag will have Last Surprise blasting directly into his brain because, shocking literally nobody, there will be Day 1 DLC that includes costumes for the main character and music from previous Atlas games like Persona 5. It's not truly an Atlas game without egregious Day 1 DLC containing stuff that should just be in the game. Another staple of Atlas games are good-looking UIs, and it seems like Metaphor is no exception. The style and pizzazz of the Persona 5 UIs are one of the things that really drew me into the game, so I'm always happy to see Atlas continue that trend with all of their future games. Now, last thing before I wrap this up is I want to mention that you can hop on the protagonist's sword and ride it around like a skateboard to move through the game faster, and that's pretty cool. Metaphor is exciting to me in a way Reload wasn't. I love Reload, don't get me wrong, but it was a remake of an already great game. They would have had to really drop the ball to make it not at least as good as the original. It wasn't really taking any risks, whereas Metaphor is something new and different. I mean, there is a lot of Persona in this game's DNA, and there are a lot of mechanics and gameplay features that are taken from those games and implemented here. My personal hope for Metaphor is that they don't just make this a Persona game in a more typical fantasy setting. I want to see them take the similar mechanics and gameplay and get creative with them. Make them familiar enough to longtime fans while also being entirely unique to this game and its world. With the game not releasing until October 11th of this year, there's still a lot they will probably reveal about this game before then, and even what they have shown us so far has me feeling pretty damn good about this game. It looks sick, and I can't wait to play it. I will absolutely be reviewing it here on this very channel, so if you're not already subscribed, then you should subscribe. Check out some of the other stuff we have going on here on Tin and Max. Leave a like if you liked the video, and let me know what you think of Metaphor in the comments. I've been Tin of Tin and Max, and I will see you in whatever we do next.